Hey mama, welcome to this birth prep and hip mobility flow. You can do this routine at any stage of your pregnancy. It's never too early or too late to start prepping your pelvis and the surrounding muscles for birth. By practicing these pelvis opening movements and positions regularly throughout your pregnancy, you'll build mobility and comfort, ultimately supporting a smoother transition through your labor and your birth for both you and also for your baby. When preparing our body for birth, we want to think about using a variety of hip positions that will open all three levels of our bony pelvis and create mobility within each of those positions. We want to work on encouraging pelvic floor muscle relaxation and elongation to help accommodate the stretch that's going to be necessary for birth and reduce our risk of tearing these muscles. So to create more space in the top of the pelvis or the pelvic inlet where baby will engage down into the pelvis when they're ready, we want to explore positions of symmetrical hip flexion and external rotation of the femurs. So think about wide leg positions with a posterior pelvic tilt. So think about tucking the tailbone under. This helps to flare the iliac crest and open up the SI joints at the back, creating more space for baby to move into the top of the pelvis. Baby's then going to descend down into the mid-pelvis, and mobility in the mid-pelvis is key to helping baby navigate through this narrower portion of the pelvis where stools can happen. And we can create more opening here with asymmetrical hip positions or opposing movements of both the left and the right hip and pelvic bones. Finally, we want to open the bottom third of the pelvis or the pelvic outlet and stretch through those pelvic floor muscles. So for this, we want to explore internal rotation of the hip. So knees in, ankles out positions with an anterior pelvic tilt. So think about flaring the tailbone up so it can lift up and back. So now that we understand a little bit about the anatomy of how we can prepare our pelvis for birth, let's get into a routine that includes all of these movements. For today's little routine, you don't really need any equipment, but we are going to be using a yoga block. Now, if you don't have a yoga block at home, then you can grab a stack of books, a stack of DVDs, or just find anything around your house that kind of looks like this shape. And when you're ready, let's jump into the routine. We're gonna start this routine in a deep squat position. So I'm gonna take my yoga block for a little bit of support in this deep squat. I'm gonna have my feet out really nice and wide. You can choose the level for the yoga block that suits you. You can also do this without a yoga block, whatever's more comfortable for you. And then I'm just gonna use my elbows to drive my knees out, finding that external rotation of the femurs. And then I'm also exaggerating that tuck of my tailbone. So thinking about tucking my bum under in this position, expanding through the back. And then you can just keep driving those knees out and just holding this position and just breathing. Big inhales to find length through the pelvic floor, and then passive exhales, letting all that air go. Nice, and then from here, I'm gonna open out my hands, driving my elbows against my knees, and then I'm gonna open up, twisting towards the ceiling, finding some thoracic mobility here in this deep squat position. Getting some movement through the upper mid-back and through the rib cage. this last one here. Next, we're gonna work on some internal rotation at the hip. So what I'm gonna do is have my feet out really nice and wide still, but I'm gonna drop my knee in towards the midline, and you're gonna feel that internal rotation at that hip. And then we're just gonna go ahead and switch over to the other side. Noticing if one side feels a little bit more restricted or different to the other side, and just breathing into this position. Noticing if you're holding tension in your jaw, in your eyebrows, in your bum. Just let everything relax. And try and find a little bit more range with each inhale and each exhale. I'm gonna take the yoga block out from underneath my bum, and we're gonna come into a child's pose with internal rotation. So you can have your knees out really nice and wide, but you're gonna have your feet out even wider than your knees. And then we're just gonna rock our weight back towards, so our bum is coming towards our heels, and then pull forward, and we're just gonna go for those rocks. If you have any kind of knee pain with this, just roll up your yoga mat or place some blankets underneath your knees just to make this more comfortable so that you can really relax into this position. I want you to think about spreading those sit bones apart, breathing into that space in the posterior pelvic floor. You can flare your tailbone up towards the ceiling, really creating length through the pelvic floor muscles. And working that internal rotation, hip mobility. Nice job. Okay, we're gonna come into our all fours position. So bring those knees in underneath the hips, and then we're gonna send our right leg out towards the side, and then you're just gonna rock your weight again, forward and back. This time we're really targeting those inner thighs, those adductors. We kind of want our toe in line with our knee. And again, just keep breathing. Hold that stretch for 1 or 2 seconds, and then pull forward, and then keep sitting back. Just stretching through those adductors. Our adductors have deep connections to the pelvic floor, so releasing the adductors can also help to release the pelvic floor. Job. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do that on the other side. So come back through center, and then left leg goes out to the side, and then same thing, rocking forward and back. Feeling that amazing inner thigh stretch. Job. Okay, I'm gonna grab a hold of my yoga block again. I'm gonna come into that all fours position, and then we're gonna come into an offset hip position. So I'm gonna place my right knee on top of that yoga block. I'm gonna shift my weight over towards that knee that's elevated. You're gonna feel that stretch through this backside. And then from here, we're just gonna go through some cat-cows or pelvic tilts on top of the yoga block. Inhale, drop that belly down, lift the gaze, and then exhale, round, tucking that tailbone under. So we're working that asymmetrical hip position, getting a little bit more posterior pelvic floor, lengthening. And then adding in that mobility with our cat-cows. Job, mama. Okay, let's go ahead and switch the side. So let's move the yoga block over to the left side, so underneath the left knee, and then you're going to shift your weight over towards that left side. Feel that stretch and lengthening, and then let's go for those cat-cows on this side. So with this offset asymmetrical hip position, we're working that mid-level of the pelvis, opening up through that narrower portion where baby's gonna have to rotate their way through, creating more space there. And it's quite common for stools to happen in the mid-pelvis because it is a little bit narrower, more restricted. So creating space here to really help baby with that rotation. Nice job, mama. Okay, final pose of our birth prep is gonna be a regular child's pose. So you're gonna have your feet out really nice and your knees out really nice and wide. Feet can be together underneath you. Sit your weight back and then really reach forward with the arms. Drop your chest and your forehead down. Just letting your body be really heavy here. Really melting into the mat. And again, just really breathing with every inhale into the pelvic floor, releasing tension, let everything go. Feel those muscles lengthen with each inhale. And then long passive exhales, let all that air out of the body. Think about really breathing into that rib cage, getting that 360-degree movement through the rib cage with each inhale. And then some of that air is going to go down into the pelvic floor. Job, and then slowly walk your hands in and up. Amazing work. Thank you so much, mama, for joining me for that super quick birth prep routine. Like I said, you can do this at any stage of your pregnancy. It's going to help prepare and open your pelvis for birth. Thank you so much for joining me, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.